the NCCC and the CCA. Now, for those of you who don't know, NCCC stands for Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee, and they look after things that maybe need a little bit of lobbying on your behalf, whether it's roadside cleanup or services or garbage or whatever is concerning you that may have a political aspect to it. CCCA stands for Campbellville Community Association, which is actually representing, of course, the Campbellville area, but also all of Nassagaweya. And it is essentially more of a social organization that runs lovely community events like the movies in the park. And in the past, they have done the Campbellville Street Festival and do some sponsorships this year for some scholarships for kids graduating from Brookville School. And of course, they were major sponsors of the musical Bride on 2 occasions. So it's more of a social kind of organization. We have people here who represent both of those. I'll represent Betty Robertson. Betty, can you just wave your hand there so you know where she is? She'll be on the agenda a little bit later as well. And Jennifer Sibbitt with the CCA. So, I'd also like to acknowledge some other dignitaries who we have in our presence this evening. We have our Liberal MP for this riding, Adam Van Couverden. Adam, if you wouldn't mind standing up. And he'll be with us for a little bit, but then he does have an open house at the Ebenezer Church community room, which is just up the road, about a kilometer or so. So he says he'll be there from about 7:30 till 9 p.m. If you want to slip in and have a word with him personally this evening after our meeting. And we also have 2 regional counselors, Sameera Ali, who's at the back with a display, and Collin Beck. Collin represents our ward, and Sameera represents one of the other wards, but obviously takes an interest in all things Milford. I think now we're going to move, right on with our program so that we can keep moving along, so you can join Adam in his presentation later if you wish. And first I'm going to introduce our Deputy Chief Gordon Fowler and his folks with the Milton Fire Services.
Hello everybody, thanks for having us here tonight. Great turnout. Betty, thanks for inviting us. This is our public safety educator, Brittney. She's been with the fire service 6 months now, so she's new to the position, and normally she would come out and do these presentations, but I thought first time, didn't want to send her out here on her own, so I'm glad I came out and got to meet everybody. Tonight, I think we got about 30 minutes of information. We're going to shrink it down to about 10 minutes to allow some time for some questions and talk about some safety tips out here. And I know you saved the best for last, so that's why we're up first, so we'll get started here. Brittney, you want to run the slides for us? So, what's changed with fires? What you see here is you got a legacy fire, this one on the left here, so that's cotton and natural fibers. On the right here, to your right, stage right, you have a modern fire. So you've got foams and synthetics and glue. So even the house, the building, the structure, everything's made from synthetics. If we flip the slide again, those fires are burning the same time at 4:52 at the time here. And this shows how quick a fire burns between the 2 different materials. And you'll see how much quicker it is for a fire to go. So it doesn't matter if you're in town, urban, you have to have your own protective equipment and safety gears and early warning detections, escape plans, and they got to be set up. So you can see the small fire here starting on this side here. You don't see anything yet, but there is one burning there. We've got this on a rapid timer here, so it'll go fairly quick. Again, the natural fibers are starting. It looks bigger at the incipient stage. Still, the synthetic one's smaller. The other big difference between these two fires, the smoke coming off these. So natural fibers, the smoke's not as bad. If you notice now on the synthetic, the smoke's getting darker and darker. And it's not necessarily the heat that's going to get you. That smoke's going to start to overcome you very rapidly. So with this here, your smoke alarms are already going off. So within probably at the 1 minute mark, you would have been warned about that fire and you could be leaving the house. So you're at the 3:30 mark now, and you can see how small the fire is in the legacy, and the modern fire is just taken off. So not only is it the furnishing, I don't know if you notice in here, there's no kids' toys in here. If you go to a house where there's children, all the toys are plastic to add to that. So we call that a flashover. So that room's totally engulfed at the 450 mark. Done. We could hit the next slide, please. So again, the flashover happening at 450 in a modern home. You've got about 21 minutes in a legacy, and then the construction of the home as well. So once it gets into the content, so if you think of a home that you have probably out in this area, it's traditional construction. It's made with real lumber. It's built with mass rather than mass. So when I say that, if an engineer was to build a house, he would use as little material as possible to save on it, but he would use math to build it. He would use gussets and designed lumber. The only problem with that is as good as it is, with the wide open spans, is they collapse quick. So because it hasn't got the mass now that traditional buildings have, they're using prefab trusses, they're using glued I-beams for the floor, and they'll fail quicker. Next slide, please. So now you got back to your smoke alarms. So this is your key here to safety. And again, these will let you know about the 1 minute mark. As soon as you get any smoke, they're gonna get you out and up and out of the house. Next slide. This is big. So a lot of people don't think about this. They think about the smoke alarm and the importance of having them on every level of their home and getting the early warning. But they don't think about how they're gonna get out and where they're gonna meet. So I don't know how many fires I've been to where people are outside and then they go back in looking for their loved ones. Because what they haven't done is made this one critical plan here of having a muster point outside for everybody to meet. So not only does it risk you not having that muster point to get your head count, once the fire department shows up, we can just fight the fire if we got head count. So we can just put the water out and everybody's safe. But if we don't have that head count, then we're going in on a rescue. So we don't actually fight the fire. We're going in searching the home. So that's a huge difference. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is just reiterating the importance of the escape plan. So you can see right now, not only is the family safe with the muster point, but the firefighters are outside fighting from the outside. Again, with the modern homes, if we can knock the fire down from outside before we go in, which is difficult if we have to do a rescue, and we've got everybody outside, we're in good shape. So the importance of that escape plan. 2 means of escape from every room in your home with the muster point outside. Next slide, please. In rural areas, why it matters to you? Well, so you guys are further away from any full-time fire department. So you've seen there where the home lights up in about 4 minutes and 50 seconds. So even in town, it's hard to get to somebody. So out here, it's critical that you have that early warning detection system and you get out of your home before that fire flashes. It's just a challenge out here to get a fire truck there in time to save anybody if the house catches fire. Next slide, please. Lithium-ion batteries. Okay, so this is a new thing on the block here. So the batteries, they're causing a few fires, and a lot of them are knockoffs that aren't CSA approved. So they're being charged on soft surfaces such as couches and beds, laptops left unattended. They can't breathe underneath. They're sitting on a blanket or whatever. I think Burlington just recently, or it was last fall, it was a Dyson knockoff battery, and they lost the home due to the ion battery. You had Toronto with the bicycle fire, and it filled the subway with smoke. The electric cars now, we can't leave them unattended after we knock down the fire. We've got to get a water source if it's an electric car, because those batteries, they have runaway thermal energy, and they can reignite after 24 hours. Sweden, they're actually dunking them in a tank of water to make sure they're extinguished. So the whole car is getting dunked in a tank of water. Next slide, please. Cooking safety. So the old stove, unattended. We got a question about the fire blankets. Not recommended, the fire blankets. Normally the old pot, the lid on the pot is still the best way to go. So if you do have a kitchen fire, put the lid on. Ideally you'll be right there so you catch it before it gets too big. We had a fire 2 weeks ago, somebody moving into a house and they placed some boxes on the stove and hit a button, and the boxes caught fire, so kitchen fire just due to the boxes on the stove. So again, the best bet is still the lid on the pot if you have a kitchen fire. I've had people severely burned trying to carry pots of grease out of the house as it's on fire. Just put the lid on it, we pay insurance, let it go out. If it doesn't go out, then let the fire department look after it. Get everybody out and be safe. Next slide, please. Okay, bedroom doors. So these two rooms are exposed to the same fire. The only difference is this bedroom door was closed and this one wasn't. So if by chance you do have a fire at home and you open the door, you feel the door to see if it's hot or you see smoke coming through, and that's your means of egress and you can't get out, if you keep that door shut, this is the difference. So you're not inhaling any smoke here or taking any heat, and you've got this room here that's almost completely gutted. So when the fire department does show up, they'll enter that one room and pick you off out of that one room. They won't try to take you through the heat and smoke. They'll go up through that bedroom window or wherever it is to get you. So if you can, very important to sleep with your bedroom door shut. I know some people, depending if they got children and pets, it's hard to do, but that's the difference. If a neighbor has a fire and the house is closed up, a lot of people go and open a door. The best thing you can do is leave the doors closed. If everybody's out of the house, you're just venting the fire, which is going to accelerate it at that point. I've been to fires where they've completely snuffed themselves out. Nobody's done anything at all and to put water on the fire, but it just didn't have oxygen and it put itself out. So, and I've been to other fires where somebody's opened all the windows and doors and we've lost the whole house. So, big tool for fire safety is just your doors in your house, your bedrooms, your front door. Next slide, please. Key takeaways. So we talked about the fires in the modern home, how quick they go. So you've got the 450 mark. You've got the smoke alarms are probably still your best defense for your own personal safety. The muster point, practice your escape routes. We talked about the batteries. Out here again, more critical for you to look after your fire safety and make sure you've got that muster point and those smoke alarms all checked. And the simple action of closing the door can save a life. Brittney's up.
Thank you.
Third world.
All right, so next we're just going to talk about some of the public education initiatives that we're doing out in rural communities. So up here we have our school visits. So we have the two schools for Brookville and Hitherfield. So we've been running our grade 7 and 8 program at the schools. It's called On Your Own at Home, and it just teaches the kids what to do in an emergency situation while they're at home by themselves. We're scheduling our grade 3 and 4 program, which is our Hazard House program. So again, it talks about different hazards that kids might find in the home and how to get outside safely. So we've been running that for both of the schools. And then we also have inspections for the schools just to make sure that everything is up to code with the Ontario Fire Code to keep the kids safe. Now we also have our Home Safe Home program that we do out in the rural community. So as you can see, last year we completed 243 home visits. So the firefighters will come out to the community, they'll go knock on doors, they'll go inside, check your smoke alarms, carbon monoxide alarms, and talk to you about fire safety. So if you see the firefighters coming around this summer, they're knocking on the doors, feel free to open up, let them in. If they miss you, they're gonna leave a door hanger, so that gives you some contact information and some fire safety tips. And if you want us to come back and do a home inspection, you can always schedule that with us as well.
Betty, I slipped this in emergency preparedness, sorry. Just a couple things going on here with emergency preparedness. As everybody knows, global warming, everything's coming. We've dealt with pandemics. And we've got cyber attacks on here, which normally hasn't been on emergency preparedness. But if you look through the list, we've been through a lot of these probably in the last 3 to 5 years that we haven't had one of these. So just, I guess I added this one here, wildland fires, because of the escarpment. A bit of a different beast now, again, with things getting warmer. So if a fire does happen up here on the escarpment, we almost got to treat it like a wildland fire. There's a lot of brush to bush burn up here, so something to consider. The cyber attack one too, Burlington Hydro was just recently hit. Town of Orangeville was hit. There's been Hamilton. Everybody's been hit, but you can take away from that can, like, you can see Burlington Hydro getting hit. Like, if they get into the grid, it's another thing that you need to be self-sufficient with. That's all the emphasis there. I don't know if you noticed this, but I need somebody to change the slides for me. Brittney can do both jobs, so a little bit more talented. The 72-hour kit. We have just what you need in there, and that's also online, just to be able to look after yourself for 72 hours is key when we're dealing with emergencies, and again, we're getting more and more. I think that's it. Floor is yours. Questions? Yes, sir.
The fire station down by the 401.
Yes, sir.
Is that manned 24/7?
No, sir, that's a part-time station. We are putting in a backup communications center in there. We're switching over to next generation 911, which is, we're going off copper phone lines to what they call the EZInet, the Emergency Service Internet, and we're putting the backup center in there.
So if this sorry, second question based on your answer.
Sure.
If this building was to go up in smoke,
Yes.
or a fire, what would be the response time if it was manned 24/7 versus today?
So, good question. So just, I guess why it's not manned is a better question. So, the FPPA, the Fire Protection Prevention Act, asks us to do a community risk assessment, and we make the decisions on data. So the data that gives us the risk and the probability equals the consequences. So we look at all that, and we look at a fire in a rural, a single building out by itself, and getting a full-time station there, and that determines it. So I wouldn't know the exact response time here, but I would hazard to guess that 15 minutes.
More like 20 to 25.
It's a little. I don't know who was asking me, but we've got the traffic lights. So we pre-action the traffic lights for green and get all the green lights, but yeah. Did I answer it?
Yeah, in regular response time would be 5 to 7 minutes, is that right?
In an urban area?
If it was manned versus calling in the volunteer firefighter.
It takes about 12 minutes for them to get to the station, is our average for our part-time firefighters to get to a fire station and out the door.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
It sounds like a budget issue.
Well, yeah. You
say risk.
Who's asking the question, sorry?
Oh, that's me back here. I'm just, you talk about risk, but it sounds like, that there's a very strict budget issue to have that station manned. Spend quite a bit of money to build it.
Well, it would be a bit of money. So back to the community risk assessment and the probability and the risk, that's all done. And all the decisions are made on data. So we bring that data forward, make recommendations, and then go from there. So looking at the community risk assessment, It hasn't mandated to go full-time yet at that station. If that answers your question?
No.
Okay.
It's a good way to avoid the question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I used to live in Puslinch, and I was told over there that they got money from the province for the fire department because they had to look after a stretch of 401. Is that true for Milton?
Yep, yeah, we bill about 300,000 for non-residents, for car accidents, highway calls. We also bill neighboring fire departments if we respond into their area, and they bill us if we respond into theirs, but we collect a lot more than we pay out.
It also might be worth pointing out that in the northern end of Nassagaweya, it's also serviced by the Acton Fire Department as first responders. And I think Rockwood, no, not anymore, I think.
No, not Rockwood. So
Yeah.
we have what they call automatic aid agreements with neighboring fire departments. So we do a lot with Halton Hills, we go with Burlington on the south end. We have automatic aid agreements where they just roll in and they take the first truck in. That's a full-time station that you're talking about in Acton. It's an automatic aid agreement, so we get a full-time crew there a lot quicker and then supported by our team. Yes, sir.
So you're saying based on statistics and probability, we can call our insurance companies up and say, found another says we don't need a fire department up here.
Now you're putting words in my mouth. We always need a fire department. So
It also says that the house is going to burn down in 10 minutes, and you're going to take 20 minutes to get here. So,
yeah, you're on the legacy homes and the modern.
Word advances, piggy bank?
No, it's not going in anybody's piggy bank. Again, there's limited resources. You gotta utilize them best we can and put most dollar, best dollar value where you can get it. Sorry, Betty, go ahead.
Just going to add, if you look at Ontario standards, probably North American standards, the standard for rural areas is 14 minutes.
Becky, stand up and so everybody, stand up.
The standard for rural areas is 14 minutes. So if you look at other jurisdictions that are really rural in Ontario, that's what the state's for. And I know, talking to Gord, that I felt that this was really important that we in the rural area understood that. That in fact, most rural areas are staffed by volunteer firefighters, and we are becoming more and more of a challenge to get them. But this is one of the challenges, for us to expect urban services in a rural area. I think it's great that we would want that, but I think it's, I don't know if there's any other jurisdictions that's doing that.
Yeah, except for our taxes are the same as in the urban, right?
Yeah.
We
Sorry?
don't have any other money spent up in this area for other recreational activities, or, so why don't they build some fire
I
departments?
can take the political part of that.
Okay.
You're
taking the political.
Okay, from my 21 years on council, I can answer some of that question. If you're willing to pay the taxes required to keep that fire department as a full-time station, when when that full-time crew sitting there is essentially not going to be utilized like you might think it would be if you were to make the call, then by all means, let Collin and Christina and your other councillors know that you are more than happy to pay your share on that tax bill, because they would be more than happy to fill that. The fire department would be more than happy to bring in the extra people. The question is, are you as residents willing to pay the price?
We're paying the same tax rate as they are.
It's what?
We're paying the exact same tax rate.
No. You are, but if you were to,
we don't get the service.
but if you, believe me, I would love to see that as a full-time fire station. But if you look at the people that are serving it and the number of homes that it's serving versus the others, it just is not terribly cost-effective.
Yeah, but don't talk about taxes when you make that argument. We pay the same amount of tax, we should be getting the same amount of service. Full stop.
Okay, moving on. I'll take the heat, and trust me, I did everything I could to make sure that might happen, but it isn't going to. Anyway, is there anything else other than that servicing that might be A question?
I have one last question regarding the fire blanket. You see them advertised and promoted. I don't see how a lid would address the burning boxes on the cooktop. Why did you shy away from it? I mean,
So we just had messaging come out that not all fire blankets are actually tested and verified as safe by the UL or ULC. So it's just something to look out for. You want to check the labeling and make sure it's actually a safe tool to use if you have it in your home.
okay.
All right, so look for labels like UL or ULC before you buy any fire protection equipment to make sure that's been tested.
Very good, thank you.
We had a fire out in Nassagaweya on line 6 last year, and it was a dispatch problem. And it was, they deployed all the services, the ambulance, everything, and someone was injured. And they went to 6th line to squeezing instead of Nassagaweya. And I just wondered what they've done to alleviate that problem, because there's a lot of rural areas here. We all have our little sign, but you know, that ended up about 50 minutes to get there for someone who was quite seriously injured. And it, you know, and it should have taken probably 10, 12 minutes. We're south of 15.
Yeah, so
How do they, it's a dispatch problem, and I'm not trying to put you
no, it's a great question. So currently training new dispatchers, they go through, we run the tests, make sure they know the difference, and we ask them to ask the questions to clarify when the call's coming in. So sometimes there can be some confusion on the caller coming in, but we teach our dispatchers to ask those questions for clarification. Having said that, with the new EZNet coming in and the geolocation, that's gonna, like in the near future, that's gonna improve. That information is gonna come across automatically,
So
which is
you know exactly where it's
Yeah.
coming from, hopefully.
yeah. Yes.
So you're still using what 3 words app?
Yeah, you can use that out in the rural areas. We've got the communicators or the dispatchers are taught to pull that data up, and we can dispatch the trucks and equipment to that 3-meter location square. Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, we got one more.
I'm just curious on that. Is there a way for the resident to actually test that their address is accurately on that information? Because we have a Rockwood mailing address, and when people come and they enter it in, we have to be very clear on what to enter to find us. So how could we confirm that it's correct?
Yeah, so the question was, is there any way that you could test to see if your address was coming up correctly? And by all means, call our non-emergency line, just ask them to pull it up, and they'll pull it up, and they'll tell you what trucks will get dispatched for what type of emergency, whether it's medical, fire, car accident, so.
And what is the non-emergency phone number? So we
It's
can,
up on the screen there.
oh,
905-878-9251. Any other questions?
thank you very much. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Okay, so the fire department is going to pack up their equipment, and our next, I should explain that Collin, that I was not supposed to be the host this evening, but unfortunately, the bed, isn't that awful? She was not able to come this evening because of a family emergency, so I'm stepping in and trying to help as best I can here. We're going to now hear from the police department, Constable Denny and a colleague. If we could please bring you up to maybe have a few words about police safety in our area. I also mentioned that this is being taped by the Campbellville Community Association, so you can recommend a view to those of neighbors and friends who were perhaps not able to come this evening.
Thank you. I hope everyone can hear me all right. Thanks for having us. We love coming out to these things. It's nice to get to see our community in forums like this. We don't always get to do this, so this is actually a blessing that we get to come out here. I'm Denny. I work in the community unit in Milton. My colleagues at the side there, Constable Dewar works also in the community unit. Constable Sandu, who works in our district traffic unit. Detective Constable Widrzik, who is our criminal investigative bureau, and Detective Burton also works in our criminal investigations bureau. So I guess I don't have a PowerPoint, but it would have been nice. I didn't know we had that capability. But so I'm just going to speak to you guys. I'm going to speak up here about crime prevention. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you do have. We don't want to take up the whole night. I'm sure everybody has questions. So we'll do the best we can maybe here, but by all means, if you do have questions, we're at the side, we have pamphlets, you can take them. There's people here from each kind of avenue of policing, the local side in Milton here in one district. So we'll try our best to answer your questions, and if not, we'll find out the answer for you, okay? So as a police officer, it's not just our job to respond to crime, it's also crime prevention. So I'm here to speak about crime prevention through environmental design, or you'll hear me refer to it as CEPTED. It's kind of a weird acronym, but I can't keep saying crime prevention through environmental design. I will mess that up a million times. So if you hear me say CEPTED, that's what that stands for. Basically, CEPTED is a strategy that means changing our physical environment to decrease crime. And it's under the understanding that criminals look for easy targets, right? And if we make our homes, our roads, our community spaces less inviting to criminals, we reduce crime before it even happens. So there's a ton of research on this. There's courses. You can go online. I can't get into every single thing. You'll be bored out of your mind. Some of it is really, really dry. So I'm going to try and touch on the key principles. And like I said, if there's more information, just ask. We got a few more pamphlets, or you can look it up, right? That's the beauty of this, having online, everything's online. So some of the key principles we can use in our community, it's something called natural surveillance, being seen. So that criminals don't like being watched. If they know they're being watched, they get nervous and they move along. So with that, it's keeping landscape trimmed, it's lowering shrubs, it's, especially around doors and windows, having clearer views to your entry points. Lighting is huge, especially these rural properties. Some are more in subdivisions, but some of these rural properties are beautiful, don't get me wrong. I love driving out here because they are fantastic, but they have long driveways, and if you can keep clear sight lines to the residents, it can help deter crime because people can see it. Lighting, like I said, with automatic lights are great. They're not on all the time, they're not draining electricity the whole time, but that motion detection, boom, lights up the whole area, scares people away. And this might be uncomfortable for some, right? Like, part of the reason we move out to communities like this is the privacy, big properties, great trees, fantastic, like there's just the landscape and everything. So it's kind of weighing it. It's something to consider, like too much privacy is inviting to criminals, because if you can't see your house from the road, you can't see a criminal standing on your front porch as well, right, from the road. Or your neighbor walking their dog can't see that person on your property. Or just, you kind of get where I'm going with that. Access control. The second kind of point that we want to cover is we want to guide people to the right places and keep the wrong people out. So fences are an excellent tool, but we kind of have to weigh the privacy issues as well. Too tall of fences can kind of work against you, but at the same time, it does keep people out. Gates with locks, it just keeps the people that aren't supposed to be there. They know what the property lines are, and it's not just like, oh, I stumbled across here, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to be here. It's pretty clear if there's a large fence or shrubs or something that they have actually committed an act to go over, that they're in the wrong place. And your neighbors might see that, call us, and we can investigate further. Territorial reinforcement, show that people care. It's kind of like the broken window theory. A well-maintained property is going to look like somebody's living there, somebody's watching over this property, and it's going to deter people. Kind of along those lines, it's trimming the long grass, removing broken fencing, or let's say like broken down vehicles that can act as hiding places for people. So if I'm sitting behind a fallen down fence or something as a criminal and no one can see me, I'm allowed to hide on your property without anybody noticing. That way, obviously, neighbor walks by, something along those lines, somebody's gonna call that in likely, it's gonna look strange. And then the fourth one that I do wanna cover is securing your residence. SEPTED isn't really about turning our homes into fortresses. When no one lives in just a house with its 4 cinder block walls, no windows, we don't wanna live like that. But you can see that taking small changes, like I said, the lighting, landscape, it can deter criminals from even touching your house. It would stop the crime before it even happened. But let's be real, we live in the real world. So we do want to have some things that will secure our residents. Entry points are a huge thing. The main entry points to the home, you do want to, if you can reinforce doorways, they're called strike plates, just reinforcing the deadbolts. We don't all have tons and tons of just extra money sitting around to redo a door. Doors aren't cheap. By all means, if you do have the funds and you want to have this, a nice beautiful door that is more steel and it's a stronger door, for sure. It's just, I don't have 10 grand sitting around that I could just be, oh here, I need a new door, right? So there's simple fixes that can be added to just like a second lock when you're inside, like kind of like the hotel latch. It secures the door. If you go online, I don't have it here, but if you do go online, you can just see the difference by adding a single strike plate. It's literally just where the deadbolt enters. It's 4 extra screws into the frame. Kicking a door without a strike plate to with a strike plate, it's night and day. Many people can't even kick through a door without a tool, and by that time, it's extended time. It's, oh, that person looks like they're trying to break into that home. Hopefully you notice by this time you're giving us a call, and we're on our way. Kind of along those lines, window coverings. It's a film you can buy. It's another cheaper alternative. I know they do have new windows now that are more plexiglass style you can look up the YouTube tutorials on them and you can punch them. But like I said, that's another investment. Maybe a cheaper way would just be the window film. And you don't have to do your whole house. Maybe start with the ground level that's easily accessed. It stops glass from being shattered. Is it 100%? Like eventually it will give way if you do have a tool, but it takes multiple strikes, continuous, and by that time, hopefully in combination with potentially security cameras or alarm systems or things along those lines, you're able to see what's happening outside and give us a call. Security systems have come a long way. They're not like they used to be. Not all of them have to be hardwired. Any company, Amazon, any one of those kind of retailers sell them now. They're just battery powered, right? And most of us get notifications on our phone. Somebody's at your door. It's instant. And most of us do have a cell phone in our pocket. So yeah, out here it could be an animal running across or something, but I'd rather look at that notification and see, oh, it's just an animal, rather than, oh, it's actually a person. I don't know that person. I don't have an Amazon package coming today. I don't have a delivery. It's not the mailman. Give us a call. Suspicious person, and we'll take a look at it. Or, like I said, maybe ask a neighbor, whatever you feel comfortable in doing, to say, it just looks strange. Like I said, there is tons of stuff that you can use on your home. But those are some of the less expensive ways where we don't have to break the bank in securing our home. And I like to put it as percentages, right? We live in a society, I can't, especially in my profession, I can't speak in absolutes. I'd love if we could just say, this will stop 100% of crime. right? We want to get that percentage as low to 0% crime of happening on your property as we can. So, like I said, cameras, everything kind of adding up is making that percentage closer to 0, and hopefully stops crime. I guess we can open it up to questions. I know you guys probably have other questions, not just about crime prevention. If we want to field some up here, or you want to come to the side, I don't know what's the best.
Well, I think we'd like to very much thank you for coming and drawing you to come and visit visit us at the barbecue for our roadside cleanup. And perhaps you'd like to introduce the colleagues that you brought with us this evening.
No, I don't mind doing it again. Detective Burden, Detective Constable Woodrusick from Criminal Investigations, Constable Sandier from Traffic, Constable Dewar from Community Unit, and I'm from the Community Unit as well. So we specialize more in the crime prevention stuff and community events such as that, and they're more in the criminal side and the traffic side.
And any questions?
Just a quick one. How many of the vehicle thefts are a big problem, a big issue? How many of them are in garages when they're stolen?
So, do you want to come up here, or what's the easiest? Yeah, we can bring them all up. They want to hide it. They're not getting away with it. See, they may do it.
So there's a very degrees of auto theft that we're seeing right now, whether it's a home invasion. They can be from the garage or from the driveway. That's where the suspects are making entry, either using a hammer, smashing glass, and trying to gain entry to your house, or trying to kick the front door. And then the flip side is what we call reprogrammed thefts. Those are predominantly from the driveway, where the suspects can access directly the computer system of your car, reprogram it, and they'll take it directly. It takes them anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes. So that's majority. So not many from garages. Usually the suspects want to know what car they're stealing, so they need to know it's there. So having your car in your garage is absolutely a great deterrent right now.
That's the point I'm making is, cars in the garage, then, less likely to just be snatched and taken off. And what's in your garage? Well, most people don't use the garage for the cars. Yeah, I do. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
In stats on you talk about criminals, what kind of criminals are these people talking about that are breaking homes up in the Nassagaweya area? Are they kids, are they gangs, are they from Mississauga, Brampton, are they local?
So I don't have the exact stats of all the arrests. I do have the stats of the crime over the last 6 months. I think there've been 0 home invasions, carjackings, or robberies in Nassagaweya in the last 6 months. There's been 4 910s, which are commercial break-in enters to businesses. There have been 6 home entries in the last 6 months. The majority of those that we've seen are people that have been away for extended vacation over the winter. So driveway's not cleared, newspaper's not picked up, no one's checking on the house for days on time. So these are all, again, that fall into the SEPTED kind of side of things. For the residential break-in enters that we are seeing, have someone clear your driveway, check in regularly, change the position of your cars if you're leaving your cars parked outside and make it look like someone's there. That's the primary issue we're seeing with residential break-in enters. It varies. We've had suspects from Montreal, we've had suspects from Peel, Toronto, we've had local suspects. I don't have the exact stats, but it's a varying degree of individuals.
How many arrests you made?
Again, I don't have that exact stat right now. Again, for which all crime, it's a very. Again, I don't have the full stats, but every crime that we have right now.
What are you doing to deter the shops that are happening up here? And there's lots of them.
That's a great question. I don't investigate the auto theft. Our auto theft unit are investigating.
You probably just think a guy with the hood just walked up here.
This is Gary Hans.
There are many familiar faces here that I do know. My name's Gary Hans. I've lived in Milton for over 40 years. I've been a resident up in this area for almost 8. My main reason for coming here was to show you that it's not just a job to the officers up here Many of us do live in this community. I know we get paid, taxpayers pay us, but we do have an emotional attachment to the areas. I know I do. I know at any given time I can reach out to any officers that are working up here and find out what's going on. In regards to your question about chop shops, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of put it back to all of us here, me included. Fear is paralyzing, knowledge is power. Knowledge is gained by conversing and putting information out there. Through information getting out there, we become stronger as a community. So out here, if you see something, you have to get involved. I've created, in moving here, I created my own Facebook group within Churchill Estates, not to bore everybody in all of Campbellville, but that was solely to educate and for us to have a community, almost like a safety program. You see something, let everybody know. I've actually extended more vital information out to the Campbellville group, and I think some of you might have seen my posts out there. I'm not trying to create fear, I'm trying to create knowledge. So if you see suspicious activity, cars coming and going, cars with tarps over it, that might be something of interest to us. And it does not cost you a dime to place a call, suspicious person, suspicious activity, and then the officers who are trained can come and investigate. They can do their stats. And I can tell you right now, without throwing numbers out there, chop shops are hit continuously. Not only in Halton, but throughout Ontario, from here all the way up to the border and to Montreal. So what are we doing about it? We're continually educating ourselves. If there's a program suitable for patrol and further investigations, it usually comes from uniform intel, then it moves into the detective offices. Detective right here reviews the stats. Obviously, he's in a different portfolio. A portfolio is like, we have a robbery unit, we have a break-in enter team, we have persons crime. So it would be reviewed, and then the detective in that unit would comprise a plan on how they were going to combat it. Another officer, Detective Candido, he works autos. Unfortunately, he had a family event tonight, so he couldn't be here. It was a last minute thing. You know, happy wife, happy life. So he's there, and he actually placed a call to each of us to ensure that we were up here to see if we could help out. So long-winded answer for you, I apologize, but I'm one of these guys, the gift of the gab, and once I get going, it kind of gets out of control. So I've worked the break-in enter unit, I've worked robberies. I now head the financial crimes unit. So if you ever see my name on a post, you can fire me a private message. If I don't have the answer, trust me, I'll delegate it to somebody who can get it for us, okay? Is there any questions while I got this mic in my hand? Yes.
A year ago, we talked about speeding on the Guelph line. How are we doing in controlling speeding?
So I know,
Take the mic.
So we have a designated traffic unit which takes community complaints and actually does go hit these areas hard. And then everyone on the road is also doing traffic as well. I can't give you specific numbers. If you give me your email, I may be able to get those for you. But I know we're always out here in the rural area, especially. I know a lot of people complain about the truck signs. So we're hitting those hard. We're hitting speeding on Guelph line hard. If you look at our Twitter page, you'll see almost every day that a couple cars are getting impounded for stunt driving. So we're hitting this area hard. We're here a lot. We hear the community complaints. And if you guys do go on Halton Police's traffic concerns website, it'll give you like a little blurb where you can put in your contact information, and it'll be assigned to one of the traffic officers to address those concerns. Yeah.
Does anything happen, how do I word this? We have these commuter lots next to the 401. Is it a dumb idea to leave a car there? Like it's been stolen or how much crime happens in commuter lots?
Repeat the question very quickly.
How much crime happens in communal lots? You're talking about the carpool lots that you see? That would be a hard stat to give you because if a car is sitting there for days on end, they are checked by police as they go through because they could be stolen, they could be dumped. I would just say it's as safe as anywhere else. Is it safe to leave it in a parking lot at a mall, right? Someone breaks into a car, one looks over, they think an alarm is just going off, right? So there's no specific stat in regards to the Campbellville carpool lot, but I've parked my car there for overnight as well, and I've never had an issue.
There's been 0 car thefts from the Campbellville parking lot because I crime mapped for the last 6 months. There's been 0 car thefts.
There's the stat.
In the Campbellville parking lot.
I'm just gonna hold this mic.
Mine's more of a comment, not a question. Given that we're so close to the 401 and we've got a school here, I know the Halton District School Board does like a trafficking information session for parents. Has there ever been thought about having the police come into the school to speak with the students about trafficking? Just because it is higher in areas that are close to the 401. And we've had an incident last year of like a car coming down the street, talking to the kids, offering candy. That was a little nerve-wracking for our community. But the school is small, and I know the principal's always open to things. I know there's some red tape at the school board.
Yeah, there is, it's in the social media, you know how it is, but I would just say, please, just reach out to the Halton Police, specific requests, they can come out and provide information to students. It would make it more of a fun occasion.
Yeah, just to get into the school, see the faces. I think the kids will love it too. It's a small school, like 230 maybe kids, so.
Yeah, so I've been working in Georgetown doing presentations at schools, not about that obviously, but we find that with the Catholic board it's a lot harder. With the public board it's a lot easier. That's what I found doing presentations in those schools, but it's always the school board that has to agree. We're always willing to do it. So.
Go ahead.
I travel through Georgetown with some frequency, probably at least once a week, and I routinely see traffic units set up, doing speed control right around Stewarttown, and I'm not sure, it might be 5th or 6th line, close to the gravel pits. How is it that Halton Region Police Service can offer that routine, setup for speeding, yet rural areas just don't have it? I have called in the past to complain about speeding. An officer will respond, he'll be there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, he's gone, doesn't return because he's got to deal with other calls. And yet I can spend 2 or 3 hours in Brampton, return, driving back to Georgetown, and the cruisers are still set up, tucked away in between the Phragmites or somebody's driveway. And it just seems there's inequity in service for this regional service that we're paying for.
So again, I would encourage you to go on Twitter and see all the cars that are impounded in this rural area. We are here a lot. We are here inspecting trucks. We are here doing traffic. Last couple months ago, I was on right here on Guelph Line and Campbellville because somebody complained about the no trucks. I wrote an immense amount of tickets. So, but you got to remember, there's only 8 of us, right? That just specializing in traffic, and we get complaints all the time. So I'm here, and our unit works in Milton, Georgetown, and Acton, and we're getting complaints from every resident, right? So obviously, we are doing our best, but we have limited resources as well, right? But we are working with all the complaints that we get. We don't just get a complaint and throw it to the side.
But are you making it to the limits of the town though? That's what I'm getting at. Do you have transponders in your units that if I were to request through Freedom of Information, how many times was a traffic unit set up on First Line Nassagaweya? We've got speeding trucks, we've got triaxles with triaxle trailers, hauling equipment, racing downhill through the Eden Mills area. And it's just unacceptable, and I do not believe that we're being treated equitably when I'm, like I said, routinely seeing traffic units set up in the Georgetown, Halton Hills area.
So are you sure they're traffic units, or because we have undercover vehicles that are...
They're stopping vehicles with the flashing lights for speeding.
So again, our road officers, right, that aren't just primarily doing traffic, they're also doing traffic stops, right? So they're designated for specifically Georgetown, right? Whereas the traffic unit goes to all 3 of Acton, Georgetown, and Milton, right?
So how do we get designated units then for Milton if they're
So
designated for Georgetown?
No, you didn't understand what I said. So the traffic unit, the specific traffic unit is for Georgetown, Acton, and Milton. They're assigned the entire region. So we go to Georgetown, we go to Acton, we come up here, right? And we respond to specific complaints that come from the community, but the units that are on the road, they're doing 911 calls in their free time, they're also doing traffic stops. In relation to your freedom of information, I don't deal with that department. I'm sure I could get you information on that, but I don't know how to answer that. But I can't tell you that we are here a lot.
Perhaps we could suggest that you put in a special request to get that information, because we do have several other presentations we have to get through. So if there's one, possibly two more pressing questions quickly.
I'm going to say first line 29 at Eden Mills is patrolled by OPP. That's on your jurisdiction.
It's half and half.
Okay, second question.
I want to thank you anyways, just for coming this evening, and I want to thank you for everything you do, because we do appreciate it. I do quick sort of connect the dots here. If we see something, you had advised us that we should just call the non-emergency number. I usually call bylaw. Does bylaw connect with you if there's a concern?
No, if it's a police matter, if it's a parking issue or a dog or something, where it would be most likely a bylaw issue, feel free to call them. If it's a police matter, suspicious vehicle, speeding, something of a criminal nature that you need like someone trespassing on your neighbor's property, call the police. If we're not there able to respond immediately, we will look into the matter. And again, what I said about knowledge is, my partner here had said it earlier, if you're going away, you don't need to tell everybody on Facebook, but tell your neighbors, I'm going to be gone. If somebody sees something, they will target that thing. So whether it's a vehicle, your tractor, a nice trailer, a snowmobile, right? So out of sight, out of mind. But again, try yourself in Campbellville, as we're doing out here, try to watch over each other. And like I said, we're just a 3-digit call away.
What about Ministry of Transport? Do we call them or you for trucking issues?
I don't know how the MTO works, but in regards to...
The MTO is a completely separate agency, but we do a lot of collaboration. Like we do a truck blitz here at Mohawk every year at the casino, where I can't give you the stats. Again, if you give me your email, I can give you the stats for last year. But it's hundreds of trucks that are stopped. Many are put out of service. We work together a lot, but they're a completely different agency that does their own stops. But they have the power under the Highway Traffic Act to enforce those laws.
Sorry, just to touch up on that as well. And bylaw does work on the same radio. So if you did call bylaw and they did attend, and it was something that bylaw was like, oh no, this isn't us, they would just radio us. They would be like, can you send a uniformed officer? So we all are in communication.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for having
I think the key is we could have spent the whole evening discussing things of the police, but unfortunately we have a number of other things that we want to cover as well. So the next on the agenda that I've been provided by Sharon, who again makes her apologies for not being here this evening, is the MC. Collin Best, I think you wanted a couple of minutes to discuss some things, and while Collin makes his way up to the microphone, Christina Desser-Dirksen is our local representative in this area, and she sent a note out that she really didn't feel comfortable coming, seeing as though she is actually a local candidate in the other Milton East riding, and didn't feel it was appropriate that she be here this evening to speak. But she did cover a couple of things, that the illegal land use in large vehicle and transport truck parking will be covered by Lisa in her presentation. The expansion administrative penalties, or APS, will be expanded to include enforcement of select penalty notices and requests for review. The APS process allows those who receive a parking ticket or certain non-parking bylaw and penalty notices to dispute or request a review of the administrative penalty or screening decision through a more streamlined and local process. This helps bylaw infraction reviews, and this I guess is really quite timely considering the last question, through the town system. Through to the town's APS process, recipients of penalty notices work with the town's in-house screening and hearing officers to settle a range of bylaw disputes, meaning these matters will be dealt with more efficiently. The other thing would be the additional residential units, or ARUs as the acronym is. The current town is currently reviewing its official plan policy regarding these other units in the urban and rural areas. In urban Milton, 2 additional residential units are permitted as of right under Provincial Bill 23. These same as of rights do not apply in the rural areas. However, planning staff are undertaking a review to examine if the town's policies and regulations should be updated to better address the needs of the rural community for additional residential units. Residential engagement and feedback can be provided through Christina or Collin or the NCCC or directly to town staff. There's also something on the re-quarry, which is also going to be covered later, and the fire services. So that is from Christina, and I will turn it over to Collin, and if there are any questions on this, then Collin, you can answer those too.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm working double duty here today. Just welcome everyone. Thank you for attending, and thank you for the police and fire departments for their presentation. We also have displays here, not only from the action group, but the Reed Side Road, as well as the CN intermodal application, which we have their status, and got Stacey and Councilor Ali there. Also, we have Elections Canada. If you're interested in voting on April 28th or earlier, Kath Bevan is there manning that table. And regarding the region, I understand some people are interested about the carts that I have at the back there. If you received one of these envelopes, you are on this list, about 1,000 people, but mostly between first and second line north of 15th Side Road. If you didn't receive one of these notices, you're not on that list. We're implementing these wheel cart programs for a number of reasons over the next 3 years. And if you need further information, please see me at the back. It's something that the region is going to the next step in terms of reducing waste and hopefully improving everything in the community. In regards to what the police and fire department are saying, both the town and the region are implementing the 911 Next Generation program, which is going to be a great improvement in terms of identifying calls and speeding responses. We're also looking at, actually we bought 2 speed cameras, which will be moved around to school zones, which the province allows us to have speed cameras at. So you'll be hearing more about that later in the year, as well as a number of other projects that I have on my table at the back there that the region are doing, not only for intersection improvements, but also the Tremaine Road overpass, which should be open later this year. So rather than me taking up too much of your time, thank you, Cindy, for hosting, and Jennifer for organizing the camera here. Is there any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm one of the lucky recipients getting new carts. I'm being sarcastic. I've been successfully taking my bags out back of my ATV down my 500-foot driveway and put it there nice and neat, no problems. But now you're telling me I have to use the big ass cart and I gotta wheel it down my driveway and back. I have no choice.
How many people? Okay, the question is the size of the carts. I brought 2 examples there. If you're just a couple, you'd have a small cart. If you have a large family, basically a larger cart, which takes about 3 or 4 bags of garbage. Well, or if you can't put it in. Yeah, you can use the trunk of your car. It weighs about 2 pounds, empty. Yeah, you go back there and you can see how much it can pass. And what? I'll leave that to you, but I have a few questions already, which I'll be raising with staff, and I'll be posting it on social media. Well, if you have that many, basically staff can come and assist you in terms of working things out, because there's ways. What we're trying to do is reduce the amount of waste that's going in our landfill site as well. So, if possible, I can get your name and phone number, sir. I can get staff to contact you and see what we can work out. Or even email. Okay, I'll be back there now. Sorry. Okay, well, I'll be taking that back to staff because I've had a couple other complaints about it as well. So, sorry? Okay, I apologize. Unfortunately, I've been slightly busy the last week, but I'll get staff to respond to both of us and see what we can do to alleviate that.
So I guess I'm curious, I'm sorry to try that, but was there complaints the way we used to do it? Do we now need to reinvent, bring a new mustard?
Well, what we're trying to do, and we've got the list back there, is reducing costs and reducing some of the manpower challenges because yeah, well, that's part of our problem is basically for anybody who's ever hauled garbage, you know, you're basically a 5-ton truck. If you're loading 5 to 10 tons a day, you get a lot of injuries. So we're trying to reduce that. Also improving environmental situation of reducing the amount of garbage and also using more blue and green bins.
I guess so today's great bins, then it'll be the big ass blue bins, and then we're gonna incur the injuries loading these trucks.
Well, that's why we're only doing it in small phases. There's a lot. Yeah, well, that's what we're hoping to do, and we'll be working through any solutions, and I thank you for your concern, and I'll work it out.
Have you considered doing weekly garbage pickups? So you aren't having two, you know, well, sorry, it is weekly, but the larger item.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that could be a next stage, but the whole idea is to reduce the amount of garbage people are putting out there. So I'll be taking that back. Yes, at the front.
We did this conversion at the cottage, and of course there was lots of pushback. We leave our big bins at the top of the driveway, and we just drive our bags up and drop them in every week. It's easy.
Yeah, and that's possibly one of the solutions. The question was, and actually this has been done, and actually it's being done in a lot of areas, is just to leave the bin in a secure area near the front of the driveway and just putting your garbage in there. But if you look at the bins, they're actually very light, and I put them, both of them in the back of my car, so they can be lifted in. And also, you know, we are looking at all other alternatives too. So I'll take this back to staff and see what we can work out.
So one of the questions I had for you was if the bins stay at the front of the road or at the front of the driveway, a car knocks it over just like they do with our mailboxes, it ends up in the middle of the road, will you take the liability?
Repeat the question.
The question is if it's back in the bin is hit or the cart and in the middle of the road, will the region take liability? Let me check with staff and I can get back to you as soon as possible. And we've got a number of questions raised here, but I appreciate everybody's interest. And John at the back?
Yeah, with these carts, I noticed like they have all those cheap plastic wheels. And with our gravel driveways and long driveways, that's a lot harder. If they were rubber wheels, I think that would be better. I'm not, but is that an option to get a more higher quality of wheel to do on our gravel driveways that are longer?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, the question is, could we have better rubber wheels rather than the plastic ones? It's a good point. That's why we're doing it in phases. If you look at the area that's covered, it's mostly about a third of Nassagaweya, and we're looking at implementing it over the next 3 years. That could be another innovation that we would, because this program is supposed to be implemented in May or June, and we're going to be working through it. Sir, at the back?
So this was in an attempt to reduce garbage. So what is the current waste diversion rate of rural Nassagaweya, and what's the target or the goal?
The average right now is between 60 to 65%. It varies depending on the area. We're trying to get it up to at least 75%, because the more we divert, the less impact it is to the landfill site. We're now opening another cell, and we're hoping to extend the lifespan. It was originally the landfill, which opened in 1992, was supposed to finish in 2022. With our current diversion rate, we could actually look into 2046. We hope to even pause it so we don't have to have a landfill anymore, because that's the last thing we need. And also highlighting that, get people more environmentally conscious, because if you look at the bags here that we have, thanks to all the Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee, we shouldn't have any rural dumping. Hopefully people start thinking about things and start using these type of bins that we can reduce the amount of garbage, and also educating people that dumping garbage in rural areas is not acceptable.
Collin, there's been a number of questions here, and I'm thinking that responding to all of these people individually could be difficult. Perhaps you could do it through the community, through the website, through the Facebook page, if the questions that have been asked, And if you in the audience here or at home are not members of the Facebook page for the Campbellville Community Association, then join it. It is a closed group, but as a resident of Nassagaweya, you are entitled to be a member. So if these questions and answers could be posed there, you can see the answers without waiting for Collin to respond to you personally.
They were posted.
Okay, we're getting to you now, so you'll have the region updated. It's on holland.ca/wheel carts, and you'll get more information. But I have two more questions here. Over here at the side.
Yeah, I have a very long driveway with a shop that I can plug that cart, the small one, so that I can get it into my car or that I could plug it all the way to the road. So if I take my garbage to the dump, will the region pay me back the fee for taking it twice a week?
No, and under our current program, but I've already got your name, ma'am, and I'll get the regional staff to reach out to you to see, because you've got a unique situation there. And gentleman over here. Sir.
Just a different question. So recently, ExploreNet has decommissioned their tower here. Get coverage to everyone, and it's come up Guelph line, it's come across the heat, but for us, say on Fourth line and others, it hasn't reached us. So ExploreNet said they'll replace it with a satellite dish, but it's a 500 gig cap. But I work from home, my son works from home full time, we overflow that. So and going up 100 miles in the air and down into Winnipeg and across, introduces delays, breaks VPNs. So that's a problem. So we went to Elon Musk's solution, despite political issues with that. But our trees prevent a clear line of sight because it's low orbit. It requires you to track across the sky, so that doesn't work. Then we went to Mage as another solution, but something's wrong with their tower, and they don't get a clear line of sight to us. So their technicians, even my 70-foot tower, I spent thousands of dollars putting up, they still can't get a line of sight for that. Now we're using Rogers as as a box, but we're getting. It's getting a trickle, it's advertised 200, we're getting 8 megabits, and also VPNs aren't working with that. So it's been a real hardship. I have to drive into, and fight traffic through Toronto to go into the office, and it's a real hardship for us who are trying to work from home, businesses, because we don't have alternatives. We explored, like I said, I've been spending 2 months actually, ever since we were told in January. We've been scrambling, and they've already cut off, and we don't have a workable solution. Is there anything that, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's struggling with this. Is there a coordinated response that
Quick for what the question is.
Yeah, this is for everyone's information. This is regarding the internet challenges I believe everybody has, including myself. Yes, we are working with the province and the federal government, and also the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. This is a goal, actually, both the province and the federal government, to have everybody connected by the end of 2025. And both the federal and provincial governments have put billions of dollars into this to expand internet services throughout the rural areas and through Ontario and Canada through a number of means, whether it's Standard, Madge, Bell, and Rogers. And hopefully we can come up with something. If I can get your name, sir, possibly I can check with the MPP Hammond, because he's been very involved in this as well.
Are we considered rural in Nassagaweya? Because when we discussed this with the FCC 15 years ago, Nassagaweya was not considered rural.
News to me. I'll check on that with our staff and also MP at Vancouver, because this is something that is a big issue not only here but throughout Ontario. So thanks for the questions, and I'll endeavor to answer all of them.
Okay, I wish Jan was still here, Jan Mowbray, because she would remember how we literally took a wagon train to Guelph to get high speed here in Nassagaweya at all. I mean, that's going back to 2000, I think, when we didn't even have high speed. So it is gradually improving, but with the demands for it, not fast enough. But thank you, Collin. I think you deserve a round of applause. Okay. Sameera, if you'd like to speak maybe a little bit on the CN, on the CN issue. Sameera Ali is a regional councillor as well, representing the South End. And we may not think that we're impacted up here by CN, but believe me, we would be.
Thank you so much, Cindy, and the community for inviting me to present, allowing me to present on the CN Intermodal. Thank you for giving me the time. I will not take a lot of your time. I know everybody's been sitting for a long time. I'm Sameera Ali, Regional Councillor for Ward 4 in Milton. And I was listening to all of the questions regarding the wheeled carts with much interest. I am also Milton's representative on the Halton Waste Management Committee. I will take all of that feedback back to staff there. We are in phase 1. In the phased approach, as Councillor Best mentioned, is because we will take feedback from residents as they start using the wheeled carts, so that if there are any improvements that need to be made, we can do them as we go along. So you have been heard today, and the feedback will go to the Waste Management Committee, and they are looking for ways to improve your experience, and I can promise you that something good will come out of it. So just wanted to start with that. You're welcome. So CN Intermodal, I wasn't aware that I would have AV capabilities here. I have a fantastic slideshow that I could have brought with me, but that's fine. I have a board here. I have endeavored to distribute flyers or pamphlets that have information about the whole CN Intermodal situation. Now, I could start from 2015, but that will take a lot of time. So just by the show of hands, do you want me to start from history or just want to talk about what's next? What's next?
You got 5 minutes, Sameera, so.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, no.
4 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's perfect. Everybody seems like is aware of where we are in this whole fight against the proposed location of the CN Intermodal. A lot of people here might be saying, well, you know, it's right down in the south of Milton, and how does this affect the rural areas? Let me begin by answering this question. It affects every single taxpayer in Milton. And I know this point was brought up just a short while ago about how the rural areas are paying taxes without getting the amenities they expect to get out of it. In my opinion, the first thing to do for council should be to have a rural committee that advises council on rural ideas. Unfortunately, we don't have majority political will for that, but hopefully that will change in the near future. But having said that, the area that CN is proposing this intermodal had been forever zoned as an industrial and economic development area, which means we were going to have high-paying office jobs there, and what comes out of that is development charges that are higher than residential development charges. And so over the 20 years, if the CN Intermodal continues to go and it's okayed and it's built, our staff anticipate losing around $200 million in development charges. And who will cover for that? That has to be covered. That gap has to be covered. It will be the taxpayers, and that will include you. And so for that, the region of Halton and the town of Milton have been fighting this fight for this many years, as you can see, starting 2015. And where we are now is that we are waiting for a decision by the Supreme Court that will grant us a hearing for an appeal. And if they don't grant us the hearing, then it means that all other avenues of fighting this approval are exhausted. But having said that, it doesn't mean that the government can't do anything. The federal government still has the power to reopen the file, find out what went wrong, because the ministry that decided and approved it with conditions, 300 plus conditions, did it confidentially. And that is not okay, because there is case law against doing it confidentially, and that is what the whole appeal is about. And like I said, I discussed the impacts on the economy, and I will also say that we only know what will happen at this site, 400 acres of it. They own 1,200 acres. So we don't know what will happen to the other 800 acres. And whatever they do, should they sell it or build on it, it will not be the same amount of development charges that we would collect if it was high-paying business jobs. So that is the whole situation where we are right now. And the fight is still ongoing. We are trying our best to make this an election issue because the decision lies with the federal government. And I have my friend Stacy Newman here from Milton Says No. I'm going to invite her to share a few comments on the thought that I have just shared about this being an election issue.
Plan came back up. Another group had actually stopped it previously around 2001. So our contention is that intermodal terminals are important. They belong near highways. This is nowhere near a highway, which means 2,000 truck trips every day in and out of the facility moving through Milton. That's wear and tear on our roads. That is emergency response fees, as Sameera already alluded to. That's our tax dollars. CN doesn't have to pay for any of that. The big bone of contention is that CN feels it is federally regulated, therefore they don't have to bend at all to our regional, municipal, provincial regulations, bylaws. They do, in fact. A Superior Court of Justice decision in 2021 determined that they are beholden to our lower laws. So this is where we're at today. We're fighting that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my comment would be, if you think getting under the 401 is tough now, imagine.
So I will just quickly end by saying that it is so important that we, when people come to our doors asking for our vote, ask them about this intermodal and what their position is and what their plans are for the future. It is very, very important. A lot of people will say, well, it's good for the economy. Well, the number of jobs that will be created by an intermodal will be just 100. And what we had planned was 20,000 jobs for that area. So there's a loss of job opportunities there too.
1,990 jobs.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, very quickly questions, because we're running already around 20 minutes behind. Yeah, go ahead, quickly.
Kind of a tangent off your intermodal. This afternoon, there's a Turtle gas station in the window. I saw a flyer caught my eye. And it's got a question or comment or statement for everybody, for you and for traffic. There's a parcel of 80 acres of farmland on number 1 and number 7. Application being made to turn it from farmland to parking for 1,170 semi-tractor trailers. Public meeting, 7/22 in Rockwood. So we wouldn't have heard that. But all those trucks gotta get to the 401. I was 7.
I think Collin is coming with it.
Yeah, I think that application is post-mentioned.
What do we know of them?
Yeah, okay, repeat the question, because I don't think we...
Yeah, the question is, and thank you for the presentation, ladies, is about the proposed truck yard on Indian Trail in Rockwood. Thanks for people that have commented on this, and I've replied to town staff and regional staff to investigate with this, because it is the public meeting stage. In Halton, and Councilor Ali and I are dealing with this in a number of locations, it is totally illegal to be putting a trucking yard on an agricultural area. We are dealing with about 18 in Milton. I know there's about 30 in Halton Hills, and there's over 300 in Caledon. It's something we've asked the Ministry of Municipal Affairs to look into. And I appreciate your concern. And if you are in the neighborhood, please let your representatives know and show up to these public meetings, because it's very important, because once one goes in, dozens will get in. And we're still fighting the situation we have in Guelph Line, where the NEC is controlled opposite Mohawk.
Okay. Actually, I think Lisa has some comments on that in a short moment.
One quick thing I forgot to add or mention is that the town actually offered CN alternate locations, and CN rejected those. Those were appropriately zoned and planned areas in the industrial areas of Milton in the southeast. And CN said no. And I'm going to call out our MP for his comments in Milton today. He said that he is against this, and he said that there are other municipalities that want the intermodal, but CN is refusing to locate there. So if our MP does not support it, why can't he promise us that his government, which is not the Trudeau government anymore, is the Carney government, will actually do something to reopen the case and put an end to this nonsense.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, would you like to join us here for a moment? And on a very timely matter. Lisa Guttman, who's working with the citizens group.
Thank you. I think some of you know about the Illegal Land Use Committee, but many of you may not, so I'll just give you a quick history. So it's a pretty young committee. It's mostly me and a large email list of concerned community citizens. But around August, September 2023, we held a very small, what we thought would be a very small community meeting with our councilors and the mayor to express some concern about illegal dumping and the development of these illegal truck lots that were starting to pop up in our area. It turned into a huge meeting, and it was clear that there were multiple concerns from this community. People thought they were all alone in terms of something going on next door to them that was concerning them. And so that sort of led to the development of this committee, which is still a pretty fledgling committee right now that covers the Campbellville and Nassagaweya area. Obviously, illegal truck lots, illegal dumping is a huge issue, and as Collin mentioned, it's Peel, it's Halton Hills, it's Caledon. And we learned a lot from Caledon and their experience with this so far. So we have been providing updates throughout 2024 to this email list. So if you're not on my email list and haven't been getting my updates and you want to get them, please see me and I'll add you to my email list. We have about 130 members at this point. We're hoping to form a working group within this committee to start doing some more formal meetings with councillors, with members of Parliament and other agencies that are involved in this. We want to clarify the scope and role of the committee. Right now, I receive reports of properties of concern. Those reports also go to the town, to the NEC. Our role is really to advocate to make sure that things are being done, that we're seeing progress made. We're meeting with people, or at least getting updates from the various groups involved. So I have a direct line to enforcement in the town of Milton to get updates, and I'm routinely attending the NEC meetings as well when they are discussing some of these properties. But there has been some progress. We started with about 31 properties in this sort of western community of Nassagaweya and Campbellville that were properties of concern. 21 of those are now considered closed, meaning that either orders were issued, compliance has been obtained, permits were issued, the investigation was closed, or there was never really a concern to begin with. And some of them are outside of our area, like Grand River. So as I said, 21 of the 31 we're considering closed. Doesn't mean we're still not keeping an eye on some of them, because things can happen again. Of the 10 remaining properties on our list, 4 have a permit application in process or a license issued and inspection pending. We have 2 in limbo, meaning that the town has really found nothing at this point, but have asked us as a community to let us know if anything changes. We have 2 NEC orders that came down in the last year, which is fantastic. One for the Guelph Line, Campbellville Road properties where the illegal truck lots have been operating for a few years, and one for the property across from the Mushroom Farm on Guelph Line south of the 401. So those are fairly new. There has been evidence of compliance with the first one, but a lot of requirements over the next year or so for those properties to see if they can be brought in line and restored. There is one active investigation and one pending follow-up from the NEC. for the investigation.
Lisa, first off, are any questions? And Lisa, could you please post your information on the Campbellville page? So if anyone here wants to reach out to you directly, they can. So put a post in tomorrow, or tonight or tomorrow. Any questions quickly?
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. Okay. Jennifer Sibbitt is the president of the Campbellville Community Association. Oh.
I don't have a lot, so hello, my name is Jennifer Sibbitt. I'm the president of the Campbellville Community Association. We are the fun part of all of this. We host a lot of neighborhood events, such as the outdoor movie nights at Brookville Park. We ran the musical ride. We help out the NCCC with the roadside cleanup. We are currently working on, or we have open right now, the bursary program, which Cindy mentioned at the beginning. If you know a grade 7, a grade 8, or 11, 12, or recently graduated, we offer $1,000 to the students. And it's not based on grades, because grades are important, but community is important. Volunteerism is very important to us. So that is what the bursary is based off of. We want community involvement. We want our young people to be very community involved as well, and focused. The other big thing I want to mention tonight is that we want to get more people out and doing things, and we have very limited resources. If there is an event you would like to hold, we have the connections to be able to help you plan it, get permits from the town, and we have some funding that we're able to do as well. So if there's something like music in the park, that was an idea that was from, I don't have the capacity to be able to do it all myself. So if there's volunteers out there that would like to run an event, please connect with me, because I'm happy to help you set that up so that we can get more community engagement, more people out, and more people connected, because that's what builds fantastic communities. Thank you.
Okay, so the other host of this evening is the Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee. And Denny, if you'd at least wave and say hello. The big project right now is the roadside cleanup campaign coming up. And if you haven't already signed up, or if you have and you want to get your supplies, there are some bags here tonight, but it does involve the commitment that you will clean up a section of our roadway. So stop and see Joan. Joan, wave your hand. And sign up for a kit. The Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee is actually 51 years old. And it started the first spin, it was called, which was Stop Pollution in Nassagaweya, and did the first garbage areas, garbage pickups depots at what was then the old fire station, which is now the community center and tennis center. So Nassagaweya has long been a proponent of keeping Nassagaweya beautiful, and you can do a part too. NCCC is the acronym, and Nassagaweya Community Consultation Committee. So 51 years old, 40 years for the newsletter. If you didn't get one in your mailbox, there are extras at the back, so pick one up. And if you want to become actively involved, the membership is wide open. Okay, next is Action. Is there anyone from Action who'd like to say a word? Gary? Okay. The Action Committee is committed to stopping the quarry that is